Hello, welcome to a new series. I haven't thought of the name yet, but in this series, you're going to watch me cook. And I specifically am cooking things that I got from Too Good To Go. It is an app where you get food that is going to expire for cheap. So businesses will take the food that they would normally throw away and they will sell it to you for a reduced price. And that's how I'm living right now. I'm living by myself in an apartment in Nantes, France, and I've been using Too Good To Go. And what's nice is they give me a lot of random foods, so it's always a surprise each week what food I'm going to eat. And so, um, for these recipes, I'm just going to show you what I make with what I got. So. Today, I think the recipe is one that I made earlier this week. Some things I got from Too Good To Go. Some Emmental. This is also known as Swiss cheese. This is just the French word is Emmental. So I've already used some of it. Got some shredded Swiss. I also got, from the local bakery, I got this hamburger bun. So I had multiple of these, I already used some. So I have a hamburger bun, I have Swiss cheese, and so I figured an easy thing to use, I don't have a ton of food right now, an easy thing to use these in would be an egg sandwich, egg cheese. So there's that. I'll get out an egg. There's my egg. And we have some salad greens, which I've been neglecting, so hopefully they're not too bad by now. They're starting to sweat a little bit. We'll see if we can top our sandwich with some of these. It's mash and arugula. They call it roquette in French. And lastly, Algerian sauce. This doesn't really exist in the States as far as I know, but it's delicious. It's a base of onions, tomatoes, and peppers. And so it's a little bit spicy. It's very flavorful. I absolutely love it. And so I'll put this as a little sauce on the egg sandwich as well, give it a little kick. And that'll be good. So we have all of our ingredients. Let's get started. You can see my setup here. I've got very few things. I have one plate. I have one bowl. I have one spoon, one fork, one knife, one spoon for cooking, one, I guess, spatula. I don't know what to call this. I have an extra knife as well, so I guess I have two knives. And then I have one big chef's knife for everything I have to cut. And I have one pan, one pot. They hang on the wall. All right, let's get started. So, cutting board first. I did just wash this, so I have to dry it off. Nah, maybe not. Let's let it be well. So, first thing I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna make a little cheese crisp out of the Swiss cheese. So I could just put the Swiss cheese over top of the sandwich and have it melt that way, but it doesn't melt perfectly, and it also is hard to not get the cheese everywhere because it's shredded. So I'm gonna put it in the pan here on its own and let it turn itself into a little cheese puck. That way, it's already in the shape of a circle. So I can, work more easily with it, and it'll give it a little more flavor. So, it's not the most flavorful cheese. It's just Swiss, but by making a little cheese crisp out of it, you'll add a very deep, rich flavor, a little bit of nutty flavor to it, which is really good. So I'm just going to take some, drop it in here. Try and do this before the pan gets hot, so I can then use my hands a little. So So that'll be a good amount for a cheese crisp. Put that back in the fridge. I'll push all that in. So we're just gonna let that melt, and it'll kind of harden up and just turn into a nice disc, and then we can just take it out and wait for our other stuff to be ready. In the meantime, I'm gonna cut my roll in half here, my bun. Wasn't quite perfectly even, but that's okay. Now, the thing about cooking, it's always nice if you can do things at the same time, so you can save a little bit of time. However, I have very limited resources. I've only got this one pan, and I've got, I guess I have a pot. So if I want to toast these buns, I would need a separate way of doing that. I could technically put them right on the burner, but I don't really know how well that works, so I'm not going to do it. And I don't know if this pot is big enough to hold both of these at once, which I don't think it is. And then I have to wash something else. So, let's just go for it. We'll start toasting. We'll turn that on pretty high heat here, do medium high. And we'll wait for it to heat up. Get our buns toasted once that's hot. Yeah, now we just wait, really. Gotta wait for this to start melting. Gotta wait to toast these. And once these are toasted and that's melted, the egg is real quick. It takes about, 30 seconds to a minute, and then put the whole thing together. Meantime, I will open my greens. They're not looking great. I kind of neglected them. I'm buying produce that's already about to expire, so it's a little tough. I don't know that I can use it. Let's see. Find some things that are looking good. Got some brown in there. They're very wilted. Let's see. Well, that'll be a game time decision if we use it or not. It'll make the sandwich look better, but just based on how much it's been wilted in here, it doesn't look the most appetizing, which it does suck. Now, for me, that only cost me about €1 because I'm buying this stuff for cheap because it's about to expire, but obviously I don't like wasting food. It's hard to get around everything. As you can see, the cheese crisps are already coming along. I'm going to turn the heat down here. I don't want to burn it. I just want it to lose some of that moisture so it hardens up. In fact, I'm just going to turn the heat all the way off. Just let that do its thing. Got one bun in here toasting, not enough room for two. I'll show you in the meantime. Got these from Too Good To Go. Chicken wings. They're pretty good. They're all right. They're already like pre-cooked. I don't have many other Too Good To Go things right now. I've eaten them all. The other things I'm surviving off of, real cheap, Brillo pasta. Got this for 95 cents. So I can find this at Monoprix at one of the grocery stores. I get this really, really cheap. Also, something else cheap to eat, Quaker Oats. This is €2, and it makes me like 2 weeks worth of breakfast, which is great. So trying to survive on very little. pretty soon this should be done. Now, I couldn't find any cheap spatulas that were like rubber or plastic. And I don't really know why. Maybe in France they don't have them. They have a lot of wooden utensils, which these are non-stick pans. I have to use the wood, otherwise I'll scratch the pans. But this guy in particular, this spatula, the stuff sticks to it all the time. It's tough to clean, so I don't love it, but it works fine enough. So when I'm moving this cheese around, I might get some stuck to the side of the spatula. Come on. Just waiting for this to firm up. You'll know it's ready once you start to see a change in color, a little bit, just a tad bit change in color, not much. And you'll see that these bubbles kind of start to dissipate. So the water evaporates, and the thing starts to look more of one cohesive unit. Like right here, it's very translucent. So we're gonna let that kind of bubble out, and then it should come off as one solid crisp. Hopefully, if this finishes soon enough, I can get this toasting, and it'll only be another minute or so. But yeah, check out Too Good To Go where you live. It depends. If you're in the States, it only really exists in the big cities. So like New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, probably LA. I only know the East Coast and Midwest cities, but it exists in the big cities. Elsewhere, it's not so popular. Americans love to throw food away instead of selling it for a reduced price. But here in France, it is such a popular app. You can find places everywhere to get food from it. And it's so cheap. Most times I spend €4 or at most €6, and I get tons and tons of food. So in future videos, you'll see my different hauls. You'll see some different food that I get. So, all right, we're gonna see. It stopped bubbling here, so we're gonna see how cohesive it is, if it's ready or not. I don't think so. No, not quite. All right, so we're gonna try to heat back up. Let it evaporate some more of that water. See how this bun's doing. Not quite there. Turn that heat up as well. One thing I gotta get used to is the timing of these burners. I never know yet exactly how hot they should be, but I'm learning. I wish I had an oven. If I had an oven, oh man, I love to bake. Making bread, making pizza, stuff like that. To be fair though, I don't really need to make bread here because I live right next to a bakery that makes bread way better than I could ever make. So maybe not bread, but pizza. Ugh, I miss making pizza. So no oven. But c'est la vie. Nice and warm. All right. Now I'm going to turn this heat back down. I don't want to burn it. I think now enough moisture might be coming out of it that it'll harden. This guy should be done pretty soon. It's getting there. A little brown on the edges. Turn that heat down a little. Yeah, and the hard part about keeping temperature consistent on these burners is you turn it to one temperature, 7, 9, 11, you turn it up there and it starts to get too hot, so you have to, in order to keep a stable temperature, you got to keep turning it down as you go. A little finicky. That's getting there. I'm gonna try it now. See, oh yeah. Do you see how it's holding shape as I peel it up? Exactly what we want. I'm trying to heat back up just so I can toast my, alright, perfect. I think I'm gonna pull this off now. Well, leave it for a second longer. I'm gonna pull this bun off, hit it with some sauce. I sauce both buns, you know, make sure the flavor is nice and spread out, evenly spread. So as soon as this gets just a little more color, I'm gonna swap them. Say, no, we'll say that's good enough. So I can get this guy in there. So that guy's on. This guy I'm gonna hit with a little bit of sauce. Come on. Not too much, just a little. So I'm putting it on both buns. I'm gonna get my cheese puck out of here. I'm gonna slide it right onto there. It wasn't perfect, I can reposition. Here's my cheese. All right, now we got this pan. Now, there's some oil from that cheese that's already in the pan, so I'm just gonna, not even gonna oil it or anything, I'm just gonna put my egg right in there. Egg going in. We're gonna spread that egg out a little bit, let it cook a little faster. The nice thing about non-stick is I can do this and it'll pretty much come up without a struggle. Let that cook through. Look at that, already getting toasted. Much quicker than the last one. In fact, I'm gonna turn that heat off. Give it a few more seconds, put some sauce on it, and then once the egg's ready, we're pretty much finished. I'm gonna start taking that egg in from the sides. So you see how it peels right off there, non-stick, really nice. Now the hardest part, flipping with this thing is nearly impossible. It's very difficult, but I'm gonna try my best. Also, I gotta pull this off so it doesn't burn. Look at that, look at that, perfect. I'm gonna hit it with the sauce. All right, now the hard part. Going for the flip. Oh, I had it. Got it. Oh, I split the yolk. I like a runny yolk. I like to keep it intact. You can see there that it's running a bit. That's whatever, it happens. It happens. Not the end of the world. Now, important thing, whenever you're cooking anything, make sure you season each component. So the sauce has seasoning, right? The bread doesn't need to be seasoned. The cheese, that's got its own flavor. But the egg, I always like a little salt and pepper on the egg, so put some salt on there. I'll put some pepper. And that'll just make sure that every part of the sandwich has a nice flavor to it, because the worst part of an egg sandwich is if the egg is not seasoned. So if you get a whole bite of egg, then it has no flavor. So make sure you salt and pepper your eggs. Something needs maybe a second more. And then we'll transfer. Actually, I'll turn the heat off. Should be a pretty easy sandwich to put together. Simply make sure it's cooked in there. Yep. All right, put this on top. I am going to forego the greens only because they're looking rather sad. But normally it would be a great garnish to have on here. But I mean, look at that! Absolutely phenomenal sandwich. Great flavor from the sauce. Cheese crisp. Take a bite, see how it is. Perfect. And the cheese crisp gives it a nice crunch texture in the middle. Same with the toasted bun, but that's really pulling its weight, because normally this has such a soft texture. The whole thing's very soft, but that cheese crisp in the middle gives it a nice big crunch. See if you can hear it. So much crunch. Really, really good. Well, anyway, that was my my first video in the series of cooking the stuff I get from Too Good To Go. So this is one recipe I've made, but should be a wide variety depending on what I get in the future. So stay tuned for more of these if you want to see me cook some meals out of the random food that I get. With that, I'll say see you later.